Hi there. Uh, Hello, everyone. First of all, Merry Christmas to all. Happy holidays. My name is Tendor. I am going to be the host today for this SFT program to celebrate Tenzin Choegyal's amazing achievement. Um, Choegyal has been nominated for a Grammy Award, and Choegyal is one of our very good friends and a remarkable Tibetan musician, a great artist, and also a long-time Tibetan activist based in Australia. And we wanted to take this opportunity to celebrate Choegyal's great accomplishment, his work, his life, um, and his dedication to the Tibetan cause for all of these years, as he has been traveling the world, playing his music, bringing his damye along with him everywhere he goes. And we have, I think we have a lot of people joining us today. So let me just give you a rundown of the program. This is sort of so we're going to have about 2 hours to be here together, and this is not so much a concert or a official event of any sort. It's more of an informal gathering of old friends of SFT, old friends of Tibet, old friends of Choegyal's, and we have some of the great figures in Tibetan art and literature who are joining us today, who are going to be here with us. And because we are doing this on Instagram, we don't get to have everybody together all at once. So what we'll be doing is we'll be having people come and leave, And let me just tell you who we have here with us today. People from all over the world joining us to congratulate Choegyal and celebrate Choegyal's music. So we have just a few of the people who are going to join us. Doje Seten, who is the director of SFT, and Doje Seten is the current executive director of Students for Free Tibet, and also he's here with all of his staff members, Dechen, Jacob, Sonam, and Pema, and all the people at SFT who have been working really hard all of these years, and especially this last year, 2020, the pandemic year. They've been really working hard for the Tibetan cause, advancing human rights and freedom and independence for Tibet whenever and wherever possible. And Dosede and the staff asked me to host this program, I think because Choegyal belongs to the older generation of Tibetans, and I think they wanted to bring somebody older from the community, somebody older from the SFT family, back to kind of host the reception. So this is more like a reception, wine and cheese reception. Some people are just in the wrong time zone, so you might want to spike your coffee if you want. But basically, we have the whole SFT team with us right now. Dosen is going to be speaking soon. Then we have Choegyal himself, of course, joining us all the way from Australia. I think right now in Australia it's probably like 1 or 2 a.m. So it's Choegyal is basically awake right now because this is his schedule. We have Puchung Sonam, who's a Tibetan writer and translator based in Dharamsala. We have Zundu with us tonight. Tenzin Choegyal, everybody knows him, very well-known activist and poet, also based in Dharamsala. And we also have with us a very important guest, Jesse Paris Smith, who is actually a long-time collaborator of Choegyal's on many of his projects, and most importantly on this very latest project, songs from the Bardo. I have the album right here in front of me, but But yeah, Jesse has been a long-time collaborator with Choegyal, working with him on many other projects, and also a very dear friend of Tibet, a very close friend of SFT. She has contributed a lot to the Tibetan cause over all these years, and she's also a leading member of the climate justice movement. So more on her later on. So Jessie is here with us. She'll be speaking. We have Tsiring Wamo, who is a Tibetan writer and poet based in America. She is a professor at Villanova University right now, so she's here with us tonight as well. I mean today as well. Tenzin Choegyal, based out of Boston. She's the editor of Old Demons, New Deities, which is an anthology of Tibetan fiction, Tibetan short stories. So she is going to be joining us as well. And of course, Sona Wangdu. Everybody knows our very famous Tibetan comedian and actor who's based in New York. Sona Wangdu will be here with us to make a roast of Choegyal today. So he's been looking forward to this as well. So yeah, we are really looking forward to the program today, and I'm going to keep this very informal, and we might kind of switch up the lineup a little bit every now and then, depending on who is ready to jump in on Instagram or who is having technical difficulties. You know, because we usually tend to have technical problems with people getting on and off, especially because right now in this particular reception we have a lot of people from the older generation of SFT and the Tibetan community. So, so please bear with us if we are a little bit slow to get in on Instagram. Okay. All right, so let's get started. So let's see if Choegyal is here today, right now. Is Choegyal here and is Doseden here already? I think Doseden is here with us. And I hope people can hear me fine. I'm trying to be as loud as I can. Um, and while doing this, let me turn the camera around so you can see the songs from the Bardo right here. There we go. All right, I'm waiting for Choegyal to accept my request and waiting for Doseden. And while we are waiting for one of them to come on, feel free to go to the kitchen, grab yourself a cup of coffee, open your cabinet, and pull out a bottle of wine. You know, and
Hello.
Choegyal is right here now. Choegyal is here with us. Uh, Choegyal, good morning.
Good morning. I mean, good morning.
Good
Yeah,
morning. Good evening. You know, wherever you are, whatever
it's
time zone you're in.
yeah, good to see you.
Well, it's really nice to see you. Uh,
Yeah,
let's see. What time is it over there? One?
it's 1:20 now. 1:20 a.m.
Okay, so you have your drink and everything ready, right?
I've got my coffee and yeah.
All right. Well, we have a maybe hopefully some Dechen or Jacob, somebody can tell me how many people we have who are following us and watching right now. Um, so we have a lot of people here with us who are joining us to celebrate this major achievement and recognition. Um, and we are really thrilled to be here with you right now. Um, for all the work you have been doing all your life. You know, I think when we think of a Tibetan musician or Tibetan artist, people often think of, I think, you were one of the figures who popped into our mind, and you know, I think a true musician who has dedicated their life to playing music. You know, and I think as somebody who grew up in India as a Tibetan refugee, um, and you are kind of a self-taught musician, you know,
yeah.
taught yourself. You picked it up along the way. You didn't go to Juilliard, or you didn't go to, you know, Berkeley School of Music. You didn't even go to Tibetan Institute of Performing Arts. You didn't go to TIPA.
No,
Um, you were really, you know, really a self-taught, a self-made musician, starting all the way in Dharamsala, India, as a Tibetan refugee kid, and now a Grammy nominee, based out of Australia. And in between all of these years, you know, starting in India and ending up in Australia, and then going traveling all over the world with your dhamma and playing your music, I think the contribution you have made to the world music scene, and also the contribution you have made to the Tibetan cause and climate justice. You know, on all the different stages you've been, you have never ceased to keep working at it. So we really appreciate all the work you have done, your friendship with SFT, and uh, and right now, yeah, maybe let's get started by having you just share some of your thoughts, just you know, a little bit of your thoughts and feelings about how it feels right now to be a Grammy, to be nominated for a Grammy along with Laurie Anderson and Jesse Paris Smith for your genre-defying album, Songs from the Bardo. How does it feel?
thank you, first of all. It's super good to see you. And I've been a very long-term friend of SFT, Students for Free Tibet. And all these years, whenever I came to New York or uh, India, I've always touched base with the Students for Free Tibet. And it's somehow, I don't know why, but it connects with me. The work that Students for Free Tibet does, it connects with me. And because I'm not that of a very active activist. So whenever, like, so things that I can do is very much from offering what I have, which is music. And then so the friendship that I've made with you and all the Students for Free Tibet friends. But then coming to your question about the uh, being nominated for Grammy, I'm still pinching myself, because you know, like when I was growing up in TCV school, you know, like you, we have always heard about Grammy, and like we followed them, and we used to every year we used to go, oh, who have won this category, blah blah blah. And I mean, I've never thought about coming from a nomadic family who didn't even know what electricity is. And then,
Right.
you know, like kind of I mean, I remember growing up, like when I was in Nepal and before that in Mustang, and you know, like, so when I was growing up, we grew up with candles, or you know, not even candle. It's like so yeah. So I've never thought about that, and let alone that. The first memory of me seeing a train was a very vivid moment. You know, like I was my dad has already passed away, and then I became a semi-orphan. And you know, those days in early 70s, we were going through a whole lot of like cultural uh, change in Tibet. And so my parents fled in into Nepal, and then my dad passed away. And then vivid memory of that, moving from India to, no, moving from Nepal to India, I saw the train for the first time. And
The famous Indian train.
yeah, and then I was on the platform with 21 other kids who were being sent to India to study. And I thought there was a huge, long, moving house coming towards me. And that remained in. So, yeah, like coming from that kind of background, I've never thought of, you know, but then I really loved music. And music was something that was within, I think, with probably growing within me. I don't know. And I love the way, I love telling stories through music with few words. And so I I think because of that, and so I still am like, and I'm really happy that I was during this year when we went through a whole year of like uncertainties and not much to celebrate too. So when I heard that I was nominated, and when the news got around Tibetan world, all the Tibetans were like celebrating, and so I was super happy that I was able to become a little reason to celebrate. And yeah, so
Of
I'm
course,
still pinching
it's a
myself.
big deal.
Yeah,
It's a very big deal in the Tibetan world, and I think it
yeah,
would have been a big deal for any world, any community, to have somebody who's nominated for Grammy. And it doesn't happen all the time. It doesn't happen very often. And
yeah.
I think you are only the third Tibetan in history to be nominated for Grammy, right? The first was Tenzin Choegyal some like 25 years ago. Then we had, a group from Sharebling monks, who were nominated. Both of them were nominated in the world music category, and now we have only the third in history for the Tibetan community, the third time, and you're nominated in a different category, right?
Yeah,
You're nominated in the New Age category along with Laurie and Jesse, and in fact, the music that you have, the music that you play, and the creation that you have made, songs from the Bardo, is actually a genre-defining kind of product. It's hard to fit it in any kind of category,
yeah,
and yeah, and basically, yeah, this is a really big moment for the Tibetan community, um, and I think one particular reason that makes it really poignant and important is, we celebrate so many things that are part of Tibetan culture. We
yeah,
celebrate our Dharma, the teachings, right? We celebrate um, our language as the script of the Tibetan language. We celebrate our literature. We celebrate our food, right? Like Momo, for example, is kind of
yeah,
a cultural kind of celebrity in
yeah,
America, right? So we celebrate many of these contributions that we bring to the world, um, but very often each of these products, if you go to the source, if you go and try to find out where it came from, so many of our cultural products and the religious teachings and all of these things, they were imports from outside, right? Tibetans basically did an amazing job importing some of the best products that were floating around in the world over the last 20,000 years, right? But when it comes to music, when it comes to Tibetan music is genuinely a product of the Tibetan plateau. It didn't come from outside. It was not an import, you know.
yeah,
It's authentically, genuinely, like DNA wise, a Tibetan product that basically was born and raised and developed on the plateau itself. And and I think when you play your music, when you bring your music, that really comes through. And I know that you play a very different kind of music. the sound that you bring, the melodies that you bring,
Mm.
the voice, right, and the message, all of these things, the feeling that you bring is very distinct. It's very experimental. It's new. It's very innovative. But at the same time, there is something that is distinctly, authentically, unforgettably, unmistakably Tibetan about it. And that's
Thank
what a lot of people are really proud to have this amazing news of this nomination. So let me ask you a relevant question, directly relevant to this particular nomination. Okay,
you. Yeah.
songs from the Bardo. I remember a few years ago when you played your concert at the Rubin Museum.
Yeah.
You and Jesse and Laurie, you guys sat down on that beautiful stage at the Rubin Museum Theater, and you performed the Bardo songs,
Yeah.
probably for the first time in public, right?
Yeah.
It was 2015, I think. And and basically, for people who may not have some kind of background context about what Bardo means, um, just to explain a little bit, it's the in between stage between uh, death and rebirth,
Mm.
right? Correct me if I'm wrong. So
Yeah.
for Tibetans, Bardo is actually a very important phenomenon, right? Many people, many yogis, mystics, spiritual practitioners, highly advanced, realized beings, they spend their whole lives preparing for this moment, preparing for Bardo, right? And Tibetans, generally, Tibetan Buddhists believe, yeah, somebody's saying intermediate state. Yes, that's right. Tea traveler, thank you. It's the intermediate state. Bardo just means, intermediate state between death and rebirth. And for Tibetan Buddhists, this moment is really important because if you know how to use that moment, if you have good guidance, if you have somebody who is guiding you during that period, you can transform that moment of death into a moment of liberation, right?
Yeah.
And the book that your album is based on, the Tibetan Book of the Dead, right? Bardo in Tibetan, Bardo, that book, even though in English it's translated as Tibetan Book of the Dead, it's actually the book of liberation in a way, right? So I remember you mentioning during that concert at the end of it that when you were composing and creating this artwork, what you had in mind was all the Tibetans in Tibet who have self-immolated for the cause of freedom,
Yeah.
to protest against Chinese occupation. And those Tibetans who self-immolated, many of them died without having their final rituals. For Tibetans, the last ritual of the Bardo Todu reading is actually a very important moment because
Mm.
that's the moment when you have this golden opportunity for liberation, right? But
Yeah.
many of these people did not have that moment because as soon as they self-immolated, their bodies were snatched by the Chinese authorities and taken away. So their local community, their family, their monasteries never got a chance to administer those final rites for those people. And you said when you were doing your uh, performance, you had those people, those Tibetans in mind. And that was a really um, way, moving way to put it. And it was a very inspirational thing to hear for a lot of the people who were in the audience that day. So I wanted to ask, how did the idea first occur to you to transform this, take this material from the Tibetan Book of the Dead and turn it into an artwork of this kind of magnitude? When did the idea first strike you, and how did you get there in the first place?
So the for this question, the answer would be quite long, but bear with me. Initially, when I first came to Australia, it was 97. And I had always in my head, because when my dad passed away or when my mom passed away, I didn't have the opportunity to do any of the rituals. And when especially when my dad passed away, there was some restriction because of my sign astrology. I was not able to go to the cemetery even. And in the back of my mind, I've always had this, grief of not being able to do any of those rituals for my mom and dad. And then in 90, so because of that, in 98, I met with Namkhen Nogu Rinpoche.
Yeah.
And I told my whole story about my family and my mom and dad. And he said to me, read Bardo, the Tibetan Book of the Dead, the Bardo, the Liberation Through Hearing. And he said to me, if you read that, while you read that, bring your mom and dad in flesh and blood in front of you, and then read the Bardo. And then not only it will benefit your mom and dad, but also all those beings in the Bardo. So at that point, I started reading the text. And because of, when you would have experienced this as well. Like when you read Tibetan texts, you can only read like about 2 pages and then your concentration goes away. So
Kill yourself.
yeah. And then I started collecting all the English translations. And then somehow I thought, what about if I put this into a music? Maybe I will be able to concentrate more because I'm so attached to music and my attachment to music, and I can actually play music for hours. So that came into mind, and slowly it developed into almost every year I would perform it. I didn't call it a performance. My friends with Michael Askill, some Australian musician, Michael Askill and James, we would do this performance together once a year. And then I started coming to America to do the Carnegie Hall Tibet House concerts. And that's when I met my beautiful friend, Jessie. I met her on the stage, actually on Carnegie Hall stage. Jessie can tell that story. And then what happened was after the meeting, we started conversing, and then Rubin Museum, the year that we performed the Bardo songs, Rubin Museum offered us to do a concert, but not a concert of like my normal concert. They wanted me to do something different. So I asked Jessie whether we could do these Bardo songs, because I used to send her like little prayers of the elemental prayers in between at times. And then what we did was we put together a text about 12 pages, and then in between we like mapped it with some music to go along with it. And so that's when we first performed in America the Bardo songs, and you were there for it. And at that point, there was a lot of self-immolations happening in Tibet during those. And for me, as a musician, I've always thought what an individual musician can do. And then I thought, like the ritual of liberating the person who have just passed away is so important in Tibetan culture, and every family wants to do that. And so before the concert, I thought about that, and I normally I have all the names of the self-emulators. So I couldn't visualize them in flesh and blood, but I visualized the names that I could remember. And so it was kind of like a dedication to so as you said, it's a super important part of life. When somebody dies, it's a really beautiful way of letting them go. And then Bardo is not only about the time that you leave your breath and then the time that you rebirth again. It's Bardo is actually the moment. There is Bardo between the thoughts arising, the Bardo between the actions, and the Bardo between sleeping and awake. So there's like the Bardo in every part of your lives. Yeah, so it's a super important. So I don't know, did I kind of make sense?
That was great. Yeah, that was very illuminating and very interesting. Thank you. And I hope you can perform a little song, a tiny little song now, just for the people who are here. And then, of course, at the end, we'll have some of your performance and we'll conclude with that at the very end. But right now, it'd be nice if you can play a little song before Those Today comes on. And for the people who are watching us right now, just a couple of quick announcements. So one we have right here, if you go to the pinned link, we have pinned here a short link that takes you to the SFT page, the Students for Free Tibet donation page. So today, this event is a fundraiser that Choegyal is offering for Students for Free Tibet to help advance its work. And if you feel inclined to make a contribution in the holiday spirit to the Tibetan cause, please feel free to go to this link and make a donation. And another way to do this would be if you are not on Instagram, if you're watching this on something else, you can go to the Students for Free Tibet website, right? studentsforafreetibet.org. Go to that website and make a donation at that link as well. Either way, it's totally fine. And the other announcement, throughout this program, we'll be switching back and forth between English and Tibetan. So there are going to be some times when we will go into Tibetan as well, where we feel more comfortable, depending on the situation. But generally, we're trying to keep most of this program in English because we have a lot of people here who do not understand Tibetan. While we have, I think most of the Tibetans who are watching us right now can be expected to understand some level of English. So we'll be doing mostly in English, but yeah, every now and then we'll be switching to Tibetan as well. And tanda di nang lo la 얘기 들어봐 요거 있나 봐. 아니 가서 다른 게 제린디 그게 다 인지게 이가리 nang lo la 책이 요래. 아니 강투두기 나도 인지 배주체 중세의 가리니스나 나도 디 nang lo la tanda 도시니까 단얘기 nang lo la 시계 먹고 쉬우지 요래. 아니 쿠란도 망부지 배려를 대표치 모든 세대에 대해서 지시나 마음을 대표치 두예데 용시대로 이 비zambal랑 가란 중에야 강토도 인지능로 대식캡 투버체 배경이 내주디게디 인지능로 대식캡 투버나 제가기 투버세를 상도 디 비zambal라 된전도 디 아니야 나랑도 강토도 바라바라들 양도 배경능로래 감시 쇼치와 대체 이 바라바라 나도데 French 능로래 이게 투도 되기 Nepali da Hindi ke chaptu tu tagi yerwa chishna chundu ki tanda Malayalam da utte chaptu khawrta wa chishna sono ondu ki Punjabi ke test chagde wa keji nara to kham tudu ki ke dama da pejo ta ine pege di hindi mi kya ko chi inda samja tu ne de kachi ji pege kya ro chis dani ngara do la sungudu tuji che kham tudu ki pege pejo kham tudu tang che pejo da gara chi yin shuwe wa ta de la du sambal nya tam ngara do choegyal la ki sheji tajinangre the Jugolang project la Yaga Shachon to pay it. What? Lasso. Okay, Choegyal, please. Oh, what happened? Hang on. I think we lost Choegyal here for a second. Let's see. Okay, let's wait for Choegyal to come back on. And in the meantime, I hope people can hear me fine. I'm trying to be very loud here right now. Okay, so I think Choegyal must be having some technical difficulties. So let's see if Docheden can come on. Docheden, please, can you come back into the Instagram account? Choegyal had a battery problem. Choegyal's phone battery just died, so it'll take him a little bit to get back in action. So in the meantime, we're going to have Docheden join us on Instagram. Docheden is the executive director of Students for Free Tibet. And Docheden is also a member of the Tibetan Parliament. He's based in India right now, and we are really honored to have Docheden with us. I think that looks like Jundu's room. So Docheden is joining us all the way from India. From Jundu's room. Anyway, let me give you a little introduction to people who may not have seen Docheden. Even though everybody knows him, I think his photos and his speeches have appeared in many movies and many newspapers and journals, many websites, YouTube. Everybody knows Docheden, but for those who may not have met him, Docheden is the executive director of this Students for Free Tibet, and he's a Tibetan refugee who was born and raised in India, um, and he's really one of the hardest working people that I know in showbiz, in the Tibet movement. Um, one of the highly advanced thinkers and strategists in the movement, a great spokesperson for the community, a great spokesperson for the movement, um, and also somebody who's always pushing and advancing the Tibetan cause, whether it's in Congress, in the halls of power, or whether it's in the streets in front of the Chinese consulate, whether it's online in the digital space. He never takes a break. He never rests for a minute. He's always working, always thinking, always writing, always strategizing for the Tibetan cause. So we are really lucky to have somebody like him leading this amazing organization called Students for Free Tibet. So Docheden, please share your thoughts about Choegyal and this amazing news of Choegyal being nominated for a Grammy Award.
Yeah, Docheden. Tendola 같이 세우드we.
Seudu, yeah.
Okay. Let me take a moment to say a few words in Tibetan first. That 정말 Docheden 슈구예 아니 nga tanda 다람살은 니도스지. 대동 주치기예. 다 디링기 레센디 믹세지 차디기예. 당가란서 토보 벽이 셰바 유제와 Tenzin Choegyal 아니 제지기에다 Grammy기 체드 생다 링루 농도나야 추바레 아니 디다 자물링 나로네 로양레 가나신 셰다 토라 다 생다 년다 체쇼 차디여와 델라 아니 Choegyal 무슨 프로젝트스야 수투도 코란라 아니 간저게 다시텔레 슈에다 아니 딩간저게 가가도도 치야다 오늘 뽑아지고 있지 차디요래 대성상 대리된 것도 냠좀 치기요 대다 냠도 드링기 레림 토라다 텐돌라기도 적용 남기요래 아니 엔간저게 Choegyal게 시에 땅에다 냠도 딱 수수기 루규시에레 다가나시 냠뇨 디스마무야레 드니 간저 딱 전조 남로라 지가 주제와레 다가나시 레규와 양 냥아와 코란스 냠슈 체체 데링기 레규디 아니 규제다 탑수 그 톤에 아니 문제기 톤에 땅서도 쓰지 믹세기 레림지 차기 아니 데링기 냠슈 체에 상만라 닝타고네 투치나 슈유 얘네야 데링기 레림디 축체디 간주기 인게 톨라 두스치 체기 두스 파운디샤유 간상아주 치기 잡교와데 코란스 폐기를 냠도로와 가면낭이 폐기를 대대냠도 생에 망부시냐 대기업교와 여대교래 대성상에서 대 인기 돌아 가마마지는 년에 두 차시지 뒤에 디 슈베 톤에 아니 양자 단다 표현한지 룹주 소바레 먼저 참행원에 땡지 추게라 라 믹세 참지 슈유 아니 참마들인데 냠슈체제 추게라기 루주스 제와 그랑기 찰레스 제문에 먼저 직 뽑았제다 가서 친구 내다지 차디기요래 아니 믹스에다 로 죽디기요래 로 사발리기요래 땅은서 가도 있네 별한제 루프 소바 톤에 리규 라더림바 빼기요래 만족이 탑제 디문에 년자친라 레데요래 땅에 친구요래 이냥 아주 야가 토박값으로 만족 야디 숭지시에 빼면서 개침보래 대송사 대린딩은서 아니 추게라 라 믹스에 참지 쉬에다 아니 녀람 단다 아리낭로라다 배기 잡교기 팀자디 아니 도스지 팀 차제도 잡교 첨부지가 톱요래 델라양은 저기다 미모부 휴지 가서 제여서 다리대 고급지 심제 상마 냠도 아니 가가도로 땅에 차디기도 아니 레린조 데 차디기도 so thank you Tendola Tendola are you still there right
Yeah.
okay so my voice is audible right
Oh, special code.
I think you need to speak a little bit louder can get this check jago sering check kaji tong서로
Oh,
단지 추게라 낭다 그러면 들어와
last.
Any, yeah, thank you, Tendo, for hosting this special event. On behalf of SFT International Team, SFT supporters, and all the viewers here, we want to first congratulate Tenzin Choegyal and Jesse Perry-Smith and Laurie Anderson for being nominated for Grammy Award. For Tibetan, Tenzin Choegyal being nominated for Grammy is a moment of pride, and we are so inspired by all his work. So recently when Choegyal was nominated for the Grammy, SFT reached out to him, and he is such a humble guy, as we all know. He accepted this small event, but at the same time he said, as always he do, that he want to dedicate this event to support SFT for our end of year fundraiser. So Choegyal is such a humble guy, and I think personally he is the unofficial brand ambassador of Tibet. He has been performing, he has been speaking about Tibet for thousands of people through his music and art. So what better way to celebrate this important occasion with music, art, and poetry. And I want to thank all the other guest speaker who will be joining us today to read and to share their experience with Choegyal with this important, and special event. Having said that, when we reached out to Choegyal, he said he would like to dedicate this event to SFT. SFT and Choegyal has worked for many years, and Choegyal has been always supporting our work for Tibet. And Choegyal, we are thankful for Choegyal for dedicating or supporting SFT's end of year fundraiser through this event. This year has been a very challenging year for all of us because of the COVID pandemic. And despite this challenging time, our work for Tibet hasn't stopped. As we have been campaigning for Tibet, SFT was founded as an organization to work in solidarity for the Tibetan people, freedom and independence. During this pandemic crisis, what we hear from Tibet recently was the further repression by the Chinese government. We are saddened to hear the news that over 500,000 Tibetans are now being put behind military-style labor camp. This is really urgent. But despite this repression, as we are recognizing the work of Choegyal and many people in our movement, we always look towards the sacrifice and work of Tibetan people inside Tibet. For the last 70 years of Chinese occupation of Tibet, Tibetan people inside Tibet has continuously resist for the freedom, and that really inspire us. That really inspire SFT. And this year, even though it was challenging, we had also achieved many victories for Tibet. Recently, Tibet Policy and Support Act was passed in the United States and become a law. This is a historic moment for us also to celebrate. And I want to take this opportunity to thank everyone. Hundreds and thousands of people had joined this campaign by signing letter, writing to the congressmen and senators, calling their leaders. And because of the people's participation and support, we were able to win this campaign. And this is also a testament and power of the grassroots activism. And yeah, definitely with that, I also want to take this opportunity. As we struggle for freedom, we know that Chinese government has increased the repression on Uyghurs, on Hong Kongers, and the Chinese democracy activists. But what we see now is a cross-movement resistance against the Chinese Communist Party. Recently, on October 1st, we had one of the largest global day of action by all the oppressed group. Over like 200 groups representing this movement joined this global day of action, and in actions and events were organized in over 90 cities around the world on same day, which shows the further increase of resistance with the repression that is being done by the Chinese government. So we have been working with in collaboration with all the different groups, and SFT has been like investing on that. We stand in solidarity with other people who are also fighting for their freedom. So I want to take an opportunity to also like acknowledge their work, their struggle, and so yeah, in 2020 we had achieved many victories, campaigns, and program. We recently released a 2019 year in review, which you can further read on our website. So yeah, I'll just stop here, and I again want to congratulate Choegyal and with his work, with his support to SFT, and we will continue to fight for our freedom. And I want to again thank everyone who is joining here today.
Thank you, Doseden. Thank you so much for giving us that inspiring update on the state of the Tibet movement and also on the work that SFT has been actively engaged in. So, so I think we'll have our next guest, Pujungla, who is going to join.
Thank you, Tendo.
So stay around, and Choegyal and Pujung and everybody should be joining us back soon. Okay, now that was Doji Sedi, and now we have Pujung Sonam joining us all the way from India. And in the meantime, okay, that's there. Hello, Pujung.
Oh, 고구대.
Deo, Deo imba.
저 고구대, 얘께 고구대.
고구도, 세오 고구도.
나서.
당에 그냥 못 해주시고냐라. 못 해주시고라. So that's Pujungla. I would like to introduce Pujung very briefly. So Pujung is also a very dear friend of Students for Free Tibet all these years. And he's somebody who was born in Tibet and raised in Tibet and then came into exile in India. And he's been living in exile all these years now until he has grown into an old man. Pujung is a poet and writer, and he's a translator, very highly regarded translator, and also a publisher, a printer publisher. Pujung runs two of the most important Tibetan exile publications, like publishing houses, Tibet Rights
and Blackneck Publications. And he also happens to be the author of many books, essays, articles, poems, and I think one thing that I should mention about Pujung is, he's not only a writer and a poet himself, but he's also a dedicated facilitator of literature, a facilitator and champion of other writers as well. And he's always been working really hard to publish the works of other people, encouraging younger writers and younger poets to come out, and also a great interpreter of the literature that's coming out of Tibet as well. There has been some amazing output of literature coming out of Tibet, underground literature, samizdat, that Tibetan writers have been very active, very busy all these years, especially around 2008 and since. And Pujung has played such a pioneering role in getting those works translated from Tibetan into English and making them available to a global audience. So the role that Pujung plays in the world of Tibetan literature and art is extremely important. And among our friends, we often call Pujung, he's the Benjamin Franklin of the Tibetan exile community. Anyway, Pujung, so please share with us some of your poetry and some of your thoughts on this beautiful occasion.
도체나 된도라다 nga 미춘주jel로 고직 모두 요마르테 저 샴망고 시오시오소다
샴은 나고제 요메다
미 투로 나불라 샴은 야고 요나미 나불하게 차도 그래서 그것이 되니 가성게만 아니 다도 아직 도도전 큐베고를 니마 가셔도 니마 들라도 저 쇼르시 nga 보도 서로
마랭이 중앙 대 카스타디 플라스틱 서저리 체인바
Laoso ani teringde karsati chuge da Koranso karsa Jesse da Laurie Anderson Koranso ge album padu thuju tadi yangla pa chugwe album di karsugura da Grammy winning na chubala ning thakone samdi da testele shuguye ani chuge la tendo le kont sumana shingi pela ke ani Tenzin Choegyal chung ruja dindegi lapta da dinde khawa khasal chi phe meba yine susu tangdulang ji ing susu ing da dikasura da delani ti nimani nima tawaren tawa lone lo ani jangba cheji da lega chungsa jine gozu je da tanda bodle bare delenge ning thakwane thuchena da ani samdu shugi da inele ngaranchu 규제부 순도 지임바 이네 시에당게 이바이네 다도 냥아 팅게 이바이네 다도 리모팅게 이바이네 다도 타마 미기디 아니 차가 토베지에 말해라 수레 토베지에 말해라 민다 용의 제도에 말해 말한서 타마 미기디 소소소기 장도 추고 규제디 공내 공도 야 남을 띵지 디기 가서거든 디 연제디 남을 띵게 디 먼저 랭게 조부들이 that Thunderbolt low sumjul house ringala chugelagi ninge kondlabna shingi chungsa jine gozu jida geji tingje tindechile lebe ani gyuze lamla Thunderbolt shugnang re ningonzu phebe ida namsangebe ngodong ran summelam chiwa chisinamga neba thang thesi ani dowe thula 조버 차세지와다 디디 따디카서와다 추겔라디 치시 남과 네버 봐도 추겔 네미네 네 미시디 다 이네레 아니 치시 추겔라 좀블링디 당도 봐도 뭐 네바 테시도 아니 규제 람라니 양겨 규제기 페베기다 르제 규제디 아니 코네 공도 페베기다 멜람 슈기여 유제 슈기여 아니 딘디 카서와다 딩자디 코네 공도 치루 따야기 아니 고갑이오래 데 나로 지신게 리그 쉬어이 아니 다드는 게마 다른기 고갑되는 게 냥아서 거다 식제게 냥아 시장 말에 식제 동분이 넣어주 두부 당부대 아니 다리 고갑되다 답된지 아니 창기 거라 식제되네 가시시 엔 지당다 갈수래 창다 벽이 배윤디다 제가 탐삽 시우치요래 체릭배 딱저 제외 유림 나로라 아니 주시어 왔다 주 베베 네시그와 네데 아니 베 토강 사창모딘데 제라 기에기 다디 뜬도 나로네 뇽셰 찍그래 다디 베베기 로 똥다 치다 응을라 답투보다 아니 디베 탄다 바우도다 베베 베유 유링보 가준네와 대바도 루디 다 베베님도 유에버래 루디 유나 아니 루디님도 창 유에버래 베는 베낭로라 나랑 주주급 스텝스여라 미장기 빼윤 다 가서래 벤조 치팅 총숨 간데 유베이네 낭라 창매와 폐지 요 말에 에 덴디 임보송자 베낭 안주 통습 중중 안주 낭 임보차샤베이네 벤조기 내단 덴데 하람이 야부요 마디네 낭라 창 유에버래 안주 충중급서 가서래 카콤두 아니 아마 추다다 슬럽드잖아 추마동 창통 쓰그래 데스비즈는 안줬다 춘주갑네 창 몽부통 잡으러 세자트디 가서라다디 이게
땅에 신의 고쳐스다
디 가서라게 책제도 마 로전 슈기 애니거네 저는 아주 남기 가서라디 책제디 군들 주고参게 저기 다 로글라 가서라 페도 렌제 치버레 애니 책제디 쇼로가 찍라 틱툭툭툭 제바든데 요래 아니 디 로 쇼로가 찍 차와다 람사 안 남기이나다 로자 치디자니 아니 미창매 오즈라 쓰고 왔다 이네 단당어지 대 창만님도 저도 냠슈치 시투메버 송자 아니 예 식제 찍 마 차와다 아니 땐도기 배제 아니 오즈라 송나 배제 야고 요서래
예 땅에
고주이
창막이 참치는 게죠
러서 되니 원래 직접가 시에서 독전 수조지 신부 청기 뒤지 마동 마셀 부모제 매급라 마좀 마셀 청계 낭도 루베 대장아민 규민 청계 낭도 루베 대장아민 규민 속엔 수인 맛이 통행 알아지고
오즈라 베사스타
최장 칸의 통외 툭규 레버 툭송 레버 툭베 밀라 계적 강중 맛이
오즈
포베 능도 루베 청데 술라 에인 포베 능도 루베 청데 술라 에인 청모 이시드메 ngala songro nangtang
wow
최장 디 냠도 사주 지배 디 냠도 사주 에 지배 청모 거진 전기 약사 간보 낭총 창기 세베밀라 셰셰 망보 마땅 창기 세베밀라 셰셰 망보 마땅 랍실 학베 칸에 녀가 망보 퇴용 되니 타메 쇼로 창기 대전되기 타메 쇼로가 되니 최계랑 게 제도 지베인 로장 포르바치키 최계 실라 땅송 포와카시에 통나 수당 강식 민요 오 다디 되니
다들 내가 좀 쉬우르다
다리 말한스디 카스우라다 저도 내 말한스디 내나르기 저도라 지고치 투에 중물에 애니 몽버 응외수 제두자니 말한스양 창통 하후 제제 대입에 대여기 입에 밀음슈기 되네가 되니 냥아 리우니와데 거베 버블러제 대지당 언주 별랑 언주 춘주갑스 잘루 슈자게레 직 부 버저 초라데 부모 추주 초라데 다는 언주 자가 나라 안닥시리네 직식도와 별나로라 잘루 푸다 부모 버블 잘루 슈자게레디 예 다냥아 와디게 정말 잘루기 루소라 제제 갑시소라 제제 티요레 디 망체다 자외 담소라 지레 차르당 묵베기라 메도 샤가 미제 차르당 묵베기라 메도 샤가 미제 나단 제메와라 카바 동레 미제 Jugdang maju juyin. Jugdang maju juyin. Kire kubla juyin. Tadong lagdo mate punga yidang chesong. Tenge nimu shigla. Tenge nimu shigla. Medo tamakamsong. Tenge nimu shigla. Medo tamakapsong. Tamasala sadu chambe tseba tenchong. Mitso mangbyuki ne kirang chakdang chewa marme tongi chudu dawa shartang tachong. Sharki dawa karpo nubki kama mindo. Sharki dawa karpo nubki kama mindo. Namka tongbe kila kini dewa eyo. Sikche kangja tine meji kyesa mare. Sikche kangja tine meji kyesa mare. Kunga tundup kubla maju rangyu kesong. Rigbe kimi tsedu nyenga tsebar chimbe. Nyenga nyekyu mebar rapsi chuchik tuchung. Tani nge tab pyoge ne nyenga rojan di nyenga sorda sikche di samdela shagi da dine ma mangbu chuye yu ine tuzu kembe dus shani shagi ye ani da tuzu yoba yina ani nge inji nanglo ne nyenga da nyenga sore yang sikche chiklo na samshdi
inji na chiklona yabudu re
inji na chiklogi no inji na nyenga di nge tep songs from a distance ye denere I am now going to read a poem from my book, A Song from a Distance, which was published about 10 years ago. I wrote this poem in Boston, I think, one very cold winter day. It's simply titled A Song. All my moments belong to you, and I'm lonely still, enveloped in the smoke of your shadow, like a dandelion under a tree. My head swells with your thoughts, and my heart is empty still, left behind by your pack of mares like a hopeless donkey. You are a spotless distant moon. I am a pebble on the shore, waiting for the next wave, bathed in your light. I am no more than a fallen leaf, a feather stuck on a juniper tree, but I circle your orb until stars outshine the moon. In search of your warmth, I follow the path of a vulture's flight, and my sparrow's wings take me to the desolate corner of my room. Here, I stare into the dusty screen of my laptop, hoping to write a song about the breeze that brings your fragrance. Thank you.
That was excellent, Puchunla. That was really amazing. Thank you so much. Thank you for joining us on Instagram Live with Students for a Free Tibet. So we hope to have you back here again next time. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, so now we will, James. So now we will have Choegyal once again for a short performance, and then he will return at the very end for more performance. So right now we are looking forward to Choegyal, and then we have Jesse Paris Smith coming on, and after that we have Zundu and Tiki, Tsering Mangmo, and Sona Wangdu. So please, let's have Choegyal come back. Hang on. If Choegyal isn't ready, and if Jesse is ready, that's totally fine too. I think JT, who goes by Dongdae, wants some kind of a commercial break. He wants some commercial break and dad jokes. Lots of people here saying thank you to Puchunla.
Hi.
Oh, hi, Jesse.
Hello.
Hello, Jesse. How are you?
I'm good. Hold on.
Great.
Let me switch out. Let me put my better
Great to see you.
microphone.
I think it's much better that you come on right now
Oh,
and let
good.
Choegyal wait till the end, because I think people are eager to see you. And
Can you hear
and
me? Is it okay?
yes, I can hear you fine.
Oh, great.
So I'm assuming everybody else can hear you as well. Everything is clear. Thank you so much for joining us. We are really thrilled to have you with us. It's been a while. It's been a long time. We haven't seen you at one of the SFT events, because there hasn't been any in-person SFT events in 2020, thanks to the pandemic that's raging out there. But hopefully things are going to start looking up very soon. We hope everybody is staying home and staying safe. And thank you so much for joining us. And congratulations on this nomination. This is such brilliant news all around. And we are really, all of us with the SFT family and in the Tibetan community, all of us who have been following your work and the project that you and Choegyal have done together, and Laurie, we are really thrilled and excited for this amazing news. So, and you know, for those who may not have met Jesse before, let me just give a very brief introduction so that some of the Tibetans in our community are going to be familiar with who Jesse is. So let me just say very quickly, Jesse Perry-Smith. You know, Jesse is a very long time supporter of the Tibetan community and the Tibetan freedom movement. She has, you know, she has performed so many times. I cannot even count. You know, benefit concerts for the Tibet movement, at the Tibet House benefit concerts at Carnegie Hall. That's also, I think, how we first met, I think. And also, I think Jesse has been a long time friend of Students for Free Tibet, and also a highly dedicated and impactful activist in the climate justice movement. You know, I think the work that you have done, the work that Jesse has done in being a founder of the Pathway to Paris movement, that amazing initiative, and all the great impact that has made on the climate movement. You know, working with so many people who are the key leaders, key activists in the front lines. Jesse is right there with them, working day and night, collaborating on all these various initiatives. You know, basically bringing artists and activists together, bringing music and political work together for our planet. And we really appreciate all that amazing work, and also the support that you bring to the Tibetan cause. So, and in Jesse, you know, as I've said before, long time collaborator with Tenzin Choegyal on many different projects, and most importantly, this last remarkable project called Songs from the Bardo. There's nothing else like it. You know, there's simply nothing else like it. It's an amazing project, and I really want people to go out there and buy this album, right? Buy this album, listen to it. It's an incredible opportunity to, it's not just an album where you listen to music just for the sake of listening to music. Of course, it's music, and, you know, it makes people feel good. But at the same time, it's a window into this amazing, incredible reserve of an ancient culture. You know, something really, really precious that's been passed down to us, to our generation, from the elders of the Tibetan heritage, of the Tibetan tradition, right? It's a really unique gift to the entire world. And I'm really glad that you and Laurie and Choegyal have been able to bring this gift, bring this treasure from the Tibetan tradition and bring it to the world global community and make it available to people, make it accessible to people. So that's an incredible accomplishment. So thank you so much. And please take it away, share some of your thoughts and feelings on this occasion and how it feels right now, and your message to Choegyal and the community, please.
Thank you, Tendor. Well, first of all, thank you to you and to SFT for all the incredible work you do. SFT is such an amazing organization, and I'm so thankful and honored to be able to support in any way, and I hope to support more in the future when you can have live events again. And the same kind of goes for all of the work that Tenzin and I have done together. It just, any way that I can be a support and to just amplify all of the messages and to reach new and different audiences, it just is so important. And that's, like Tenzin was saying, I'm not a very active activist, and I was on the phone like, what are you talking about? You are so active. He's a true activist. He's a true artist. He uses his voice and his vocation, his work, all of his platforms to talk about the things that are important to him and to constantly keep Tibetan culture and history and tradition and everything in the conversation. And the same with this album with songs from the Bardo, like having it nominated for a Grammy as a musician, as an artist, like it's so incredible. It's so exciting. It's surreal and mind-blowing. But for me, like, it's more important and more exciting because it honors the text, which is like the real star of this album, of course, is the text and the teachings. So to be able to bring this important ancient text and ideas to maybe a new audience or make it accessible in a different way, like Tenzin was saying, like that's really what feels so important and why I feel so honored to be part of it, to just be able to do that. It's just amazing. And this album, someone asked if it comes in vinyl. It does come in a vinyl, and it has also this booklet that has stories and artwork and calligraphy and this amazing history, and it's so rich and full. So if you get this album, you also learn so much about the text and about Tibet, and this project is just so important for that way. So yeah, it just feels like, I just feel kind of like there's two ways of looking at it. Like Tenzin and I are both musicians, and so we have that like musician artist excitement of like, wow, like a Grammy nomination, but we also, are putting like the words and the text and the teachings and the practice ahead of ourselves, and just like we're just, here to serve this. So
Oh, can you hold that up again one more time, please? Yeah. Tibetan Book of the Dead.
Like, it's like Tenzin was saying, it's like, maybe this is even like a short condensed version, but like there's a lot to take in, and especially if maybe you aren't familiar with, the language or like certain like spiritual elements or practices about Tibetan teachings. Like it might just be so overwhelming, but music just kind of penetrates through to a different part of you, and like Tenzin was saying, it just makes it accessible to Tibetans and non-Tibetans in a new way, and that was his intention. So I feel like, it really did the job he was hoping for. And I like, it was really listening to him earlier what meant so much, because like my background is in therapeutic music, and I'm trained as a grief coach, and so many grief counselors and psychologists and practitioners have told me that they use this with their clients or with people, and it just helps them so much. And so like you were saying, it's music, it's like art, but it also can be taken in and used in a lot of different ways, however someone needs it, and really special. And in sort of like a history of it, as Tenzin touched on a little bit before, like back like years ago, when we first sort of knew each other, like in times that I would feel sad or something bad would happen or someone would die or someone would be sick, he would send me the words to the elemental prayer from the text, and also a recording of him singing Safe Passage, which is the first track of his album Heartstrings. And those things were so comforting to me and always were so helpful, and he has just always shared this text and that prayer with people who need it, and now he can share and we can share the album. But my favorite thing that we do and we perform is that he will sing and I'll play piano and I'll read the English translation of the elemental prayer, and we'll switch off lines, and then he will sing in Tibetan, and it's really just my favorite thing that we do together, and he really loves it. So I kind of wanted to just read it because I thought it would be nice.
That would be excellent. Thank you. Please go ahead.
So this is the elemental prayer. May the element of space not rise up as enemy. May you see the realm of the blue Buddha. May the element of water not rise up as enemy. May you see the realm of the white Buddha. May the element of earth not rise up as enemy. May you see the realm of the yellow Buddha. May the element of fire not rise up as enemy. May you see the realm of the red Buddha. May the element of air not rise up as enemy. May you see the realm of the green Buddha. May the rainbow of the elements not rise up as enemies. May you see the realm of all the Buddhas.
That was gorgeous. Thank you. That was wonderful. Thank you very much. And before you go, I just have one question. You have now, I know that over all these years you have worked with Choegyal on many different projects, and is there one project in particular that stands out for you in terms of meaning and something that stands out as a favorite or something? Because I know you worked on so many different pieces, so many different projects together over all these years. So that's
a hard question. Not only because of all the different subject matters, whether it's a fundraiser for Tibet, or it's a climate change event, or just a concert for fun. There's just so many important things. But I kind of love, I was thinking, we've played teeny tiny little shows in the middle of nowhere in Japan, or we've played big intimidating concerts in theaters, and it's always the same kind of passion and love and care he puts into every single thing he does, whether it's for thousands and thousands of people, or if it's a little gathering at Little Tibet and everyone's just drinking and eating momos and being together, the same heart and passion he always puts into it. And so it's kind of so hard to say, but I guess the things that stick out in my head, obviously the first time that we performed songs from the Bardo, that was really special. And as he said, it wasn't like a performance, it was more kind of just this sharing and this, you were there, and it was as meaningful for us to experience the words of the text as it was to share them. And so that was, of course, very special. But I love that so Tenzin is a board member of Pathway to Paris, and he performs at all of our events, and his kind of job in Pathway to Paris is to keep Tibet and the Himalayas and Everest in the conversation of the climate crisis. And the way that he is so creative about highlighting that and making it, really impact people and stick in their minds. I love the things that he does. So at all of our concerts, even if it's got thousands and thousands of people, he'll come on stage and he'll bring up all the lights in the audience, and he'll talk about how the Dalai Lama does this roof of the world gesture of Mount Everest, like,
Yeah.
you know, you wouldn't let your house leak, the roof of your house leak, so let's not let the roof of the world leak. And he has the whole audience stand up, and then they all do this gesture and make a pledge to care for the planet, and then it's just such a nice moment. But also he organizes these really like wonderful like experiences. Like in 2017 at Carnegie Hall, he had 20 elders from the Himalayan Elders Project in Queens come on stage and sing with us, which was so fun. And then the following year in California during the Global Climate Action Summit, he had 20 children come on stage, or maybe it was even more than that. But so we had the elders in New York, and then we had the children, and it's just like moments like that, there's just so full of joy, and they're moments that the audience never forgets. And yeah, I think he does that whether there's 5,000
I
people
remember
or
that.
4
Yeah.
people. It just always has this, you always feel like you'll never forget these moments, like
He
no
knows
matter
how
what.
to engage the audience, and he
Yeah,
knows how to connect with them. I think everything that he does, he really has a way of connecting with people that no one else can
yeah,
do in the same way. And that's why I think people really appreciate him, not just as a musician, but also as a human being and as a
yeah,
friend. So that's very special
yeah.
about him.
And he's so
Yeah.
humble. He's so silly. Like he's like, oh, just a little reason for, you know, people to feel excited. And you're like, a little
Yeah, he
reason?
can be
Come
annoyingly
on.
humble sometimes. Yes.
Yeah, we can help
And
him
we
with
have
that.
some of our friends who are trying to make him more humble, like Sona
Oh,
Wangdi, who will come on later on, and he's
oh,
going to
yeah.
roast. He's going to roast Choegyal today. So please stick around. And speaking of Choegyal, now we have Choegyal coming on for a small song now, and then
Yeah.
he'll come back on later on. So Jesse, thank you so much for
Thank you,
joining us.
Tendo. Oh, and
Uh,
everyone also, if you've never listened to Tendo's music, he's the Tibetan Leonard Cohen. So make
oh,
sure
thank you
you
so much.
listen. I
Now
loved
people are
playing
going to
piano
think
on your album.
now people are going to think that I requested you to say that.
No, you didn't. You were too humble too. No, I loved playing piano on your album. I can't wait till we actually have an album release concert.
Thank you
You
so
know?
much. I think your contribution to my album was actually the best part of the whole album. So
Oh,
thank
stop
you,
it.
Jesse.
You're
Thank you
humble
very
too.
much. Well, Jesse, thank you so much.
Thank you,
We'll
Tendo.
bring Choegyal on now, and he'll do a little song for everyone
Great.
to calm people down now. Okay. Thank you, Jesse.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Okay, now let's bring Choegyal back on. I hope he has recharged his battery. I think his battery went up really fast. I think his battery must have been made in China or something, you know. Choegyal, please buy your phones not made in China next time, okay?
Okay.
Buy made in Taiwan or made in India, made in the USA, you know. Okay. Well, Choegyal, thank you so much for coming back on. I hope you have your damyen. I hope your damyen is
Yeah.
charged.
Yeah.
Yeah. I hope
Jamil
your
is
voice
charged.
is charged.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm super sorry for that little.
Oh, don't worry about it. We are on Instagram. You know, this is supposed to happen. And
Yeah.
you know, you're old, I'm old, so I think we are supposed to mess up these things. We're not like the new generation of SFT and the new generation of the Tibetan community who are really like savvy on all these digital stuff. You know, like we don't even know. I mean, we don't even know what Facebook is. Like, what is the Facebook? You know. Anyway, Choegyal.
Thank you, Tendo. Thank you so much, and that was.
And that goes for Tepa too. Tepa also doesn't know what the Facebook is. So please, Tepa. Anyway, Choegyal, please take it away.
Yeah, thank you very much, and yeah, thank you, Jessila, for joining us, and I hope to have a better 2021. But in the meantime, I wrote this song quite recently. The lyrics are taken from Sixth Dalai Lama's poetry. The moon that belongs to the east. Please don't set in the west. Stay in the middle. So it's kind of like we are in the Bardo, like this whole year has been in the Bardo. And so I wrote this little piece. I hope you like it. And in between, hopefully it will be. I'll just play a little tune. So this is my drungan. For those who won't be able to see it because it will be on my lap.
Tell people the name of your damien.
Oh, my drungan's name is Meto. Meto meaning flower. Yeah. Yeah. So it's. Okay, it's in tune now.
Wow. Wow, Choegyal, that was awesome.
Thank you very much. And yeah, so that was a little tune that I wrote quite recently. So it's after hearing His Holiness saying we should recite the mantra Om Tare Tutare Turi Soha. So that was kind of like a little inspiration.
That's supposed to be one of the most potent of all mantras, right? Om Tare Tutare
Yeah.
Turi Soha. Short, impactful, you know, it's like power punch.
Yeah. So it's mother of
all prayers. Yeah.
So thank
Absolutely.
you, and thank you to all the SFT, and please do donate. There is where is that? There is the
yes,
link.
the link
down
is
there.
right here. So there is the link is pinned right here on the Instagram page. So please go to that link, donate whatever you can. You know, every small donation makes a huge difference. Every dollar makes a huge difference. And you know, speaking of making your dollar do the work for freedom, I think hard to think of any organization that is better at converting dollar into a power, you know, power multiplied impact for the Tibetan cause, and you know, anything you can give will be highly appreciated by
Love you too, Jesse.
So Choegyal, thank you, and stick around. And we have now Choegyal, you know, we have Tsundu, Tsiriwamo Tomba, Diki, and Sonamandi, who are just waiting in line to either pay tribute to you or to roast you on the grill. Okay, so stick around, and we'll have you have some more serious songs after Sonamandi. So everyone else, please, once again, a reminder to go to the link, make a donation that you can, and let's continue to stay here. And the next guest I'm going to bring on is Tenzin Choegyal, somebody from all the way from India. And let me just invite him now. I think Tsundu is notorious, you know. So let me invite Tsundu. In the meantime, you can check out this amazing mandala cover of songs from the Bardo. So let me invite Tsundu. Tenzin Choegyal. In the meantime, let me introduce who Tsundu is. Okay, there he is. Tsundu dewo imbe.
야, 대우 대경.
고대 세우 고대.
당선한 시험. 야, 답죠. 대우 영어 야부 고대.
아이, 나 너 잘 죽고 나 너한테 된 백그라운드 제우 자가지다.
도스된 내 가만 나올 제 나한테 치료 나한테 두개 계셔서 그래. 개달 냠도 요.
야고도. So 야, 니 모두 돌두지 치고 와.
로서.
템방에 든 졸라. Okay. So yeah, Tudula, thank you for joining us. Let me just give people a quick introduction. Tundu doesn't need any introduction because everybody knows him because Tundu has a face that is unmistakable. I think nobody has seen anything like Tundu before. You know, nobody will mistake Tundu for anyone else. So Tundu really has, in many sense of the term, okay, Tundu really has the most recognizable face in the Tibetan activist world. He's an award-winning poet and writer and activist. his work in politics as well as in poetry has inspired a generation of Tibetans, especially among the younger generation of people. Because now Jundu now belongs to the older generation. Can I say that? No, I'm kidding. Jundu is, still part of the younger generation. I think he's in the Bardo generation. I want to say the Bardo generation of the Tibetan community and the Tibetan movement. Jundu has the distinction of, having gone to jail more times than anyone else in the Tibetan world. I would venture to say the whole Tibetan world, not just in exile, the whole Tibetan world. I think he has been in and out of jail more times than anyone else. Because he's a true Gandhian. Jundu was the one, who took Tibet protest to a new artistic level, starting all the way back some 20 years ago, beginning from the time when he climbed the Oberoi Tower. The people who have been to Mumbai will know the Oberoi Tower. And during one of the visits by a Chinese leader, the top Chinese leader was visiting India at the time, trying to make deals with India, and trying to make sure that the Indian public doesn't know about what's going on in Tibet. And Jundu basically broke the internet back then. Right? Jundu was the first guy to break the internet by his amazing protest, climbing this tower, 14th floor, and he did it without using any climbing gear. That's why sometimes people call him Spider-Man, but right now, I think Jundu, what I would like to say is, Jundu is the guy who turned protest into poetry. And I think, he's not just an inspiration for so many Tibetans across the world, but also in India, among many Indian youth, many of the Indian youngsters who travel to Dharamsala. The first person they want to see is His Holiness, and after His Holiness, everybody wants to see Jundu. Jundu is always the one person in Dharamsala that everybody has to go to see, and all this for the Indian youth. Jundu is such a great inspiration as well. So anyway, we're thrilled to have Jundu here. Jundu is an old friend of Choegyal. So please, Jundula, your words and thoughts on this momentous occasion of the Grammy establishment recognizing Choegyal's musical talents, please.
So, Testile. Tenzin Choegyal Dharamsala any Tirinta the Choegyal Gita Jik Royang Tilia the Gejinang Sengdu Chimbo the Grammy la Diki the Takdim Dinalia Levre the Tuju Kanagan connect Tobeki Rewa DH Shukchimbush Chesan Delia Tamotoma Choegyal Tan Korang Ropa Jesse Annie Anderson Consamalia Test less Shuayi any 단도 최계기 로얀들 믹스기 나랭원에 카르통구드스나 최계기 로얀디 직 땡두 다양 소단디 땡두 기 톤네 직 냠바이네레고 다도다이네레 땡두 시우이 뭐 간식라 냠베갈이야 베베기 수균기 좋아도지 유행에 지그와 수균기 좋아요 간식라 야 땅땅디 사와시우이 땡이지 디카르스는 최계기 단도 자가기 힌두스탄의 클래식을 디 조단 차단지 신기요리 자가 수기 로양 조단 디 신기요리야 계지난기 지게 양 조단 중으로 믹스기 단다 웨스턴 딜러로 ensemble the music the royang ani pet namda mangbu yoding chamanyamdo rudu tuje chuge korang ge sengsu tumbe dandanjik soyor ta di shiwjigi je kala ota phebe yang 조단을 야 shendep da masona ani sengsu tumbe gi jika shamdegi resam gudu tadi ngam chamegi ngunjin chetubiya jikrwa tadi korangi ta sengsu tumbe sengde di ta tande dile ngunjin chungba resam gudu wa chesandi ngazu tambo thoma ngarengune pyoge nalya neju dindejik shunasam gudu kana ngazu chiketa danda mangbuji khodegi yoreni seu gashe chiki kalawre seu cha maja chidani kalore chidan duji re samsam ge ya nangme chi shaksu doje yore cheza chuge gi ani royal ya mixe didejik do che didejik shuna samsung I will speak one or two couple of things in English now. I studied with Choegyal when we were in school, and one of the things is his mother was our home parent in TCV school, Patlikul in the Kulu Valley. So Choegyal used to come to our school during winter vacation. And I couldn't go for winter vacation because my parents lived in South India and they were poor and they lived so very far. So I always end up spending our winter holiday in school. So that's the time when I first met Choegyal. I'm talking about 1984, 85. Yes, so donkey's ears, just as Tendo was saying from that generation. But when I came back to TCV Dharamshala, where we studied together, we were classmates, and I've seen him from that time. In school, he's always considered naughty and breaking rules and stuff like that. But I think there's always a silver lining for what is called the naughty and the rule-breaking kind of a student. Otherwise, he wouldn't be actually nominated in the Grammys if he had not been himself, as we now say. Yeah, so I think one or two things I want to talk about his music. I think is uniquely he has blended traditional Tibetan music, which has a pastoral nomadic taste, to a very modern, hummable tune which anybody could very easily pick up and sing. Traditional Tibetan music, although there is a long tradition to it, somehow, because we came here in exile and music has now gone to an altar where it is hugely respected, but there's been a kind of a gap between the traditional music and people who are singing or even dancing. And yet, I still have to say, music scenario in the Tibetan community in exile is one which had seen so much of experiments and most exploited. In that way, we have really done well in Tibetan music, but we couldn't do so much in theater, for example, or in writing, novel writing. And also dance. Even today, dance has remained a very traditional practice. We couldn't really adapt Tibetan dance to something modern, something that we could do in the street kind of thing. Tibetan dance, even today, is either the traditional circular dance or the court dance that is done on stage and everybody's kind of looking at it. And when Tibetans do this disco dancing, it's all either Bollywoodish or what we call the Hollywood night dance or rap dance and things like that. There's no modern Tibetan dance, and that's one field, both theater and dance. I think these are two fields where we need modern artists to experiment and bring them out of the closet and make it accessible, make it familiar, make it easy for other people to do it. I've seen some kind of experiments inside Tibet where Tibetan artists are taking huge initiatives in this. And in terms of singing, I would like to recognize there are a couple of beautiful voices, beautiful new experiments in the form of originally Chola Tejung, amazing singer, and I'm number one fan of his music and his singing, and he has this most beautiful voice, with which he has won hearts and minds of people both inside Tibet and outside. So Chola Tejung is someone I always love. Loten Namling has hugely experimented with his powerful voice from Switzerland. Ngawang Nawakipo from Scotland, and this guy who is sharing the screen on the mobile phone with me, Tendor. I think Tendor and Ngawan Nawakipo are also two other unique voices who have experimented with traditional Tibetan music using the damyen and also guitar, and putting together a very unique voice that articulates the angst, anxiety, and the wistfulness of exile and hope. And these are so beautifully articulated by these two musicians, Ngawan Nawakipo and Tendor. Now, in all of this, I feel Choegyal is someone who has both understood traditionally Hindustani Indian music and also Western orchestra and ensemble music, and he's someone who could play music with either a traditional Indian music, either they are the tabla or any of the musical instruments, and also in that trend he could do it, and therefore he's been able to create a unique musical voice on his own, which is uniquely Choegyal. At the same time, the moment you listen to Choegyal, you know there's something Tibetan about it, and that I think is the one that has really caught the imagination of the Grammy Award judges who saw this. And you know, in this nomination is not just Tenzin Choegyal. There is Paris Smith and Anderson would come together and worked on this. And Choegyal has also worked with Philip Glass, the most celebrated musician and background score that he had done. So these are the things I wanted to speak as an appreciation of my friend Choegyal, the musician, and also the artist. And my last point that I want to say is Choegyal. I have met him in Brisbane. He had invited me a couple of times, 2 times to Australia to speak about Tibet. And what I got to know from other people is he goes on musical tours. He takes a ride in an old ramshackle minivan, puts all his musical instruments in this, and travels for days and days and days and days, and camps in schools and colleges and communities, and sings, entertains people, and collects donation. And all that money comes to Tibetan Children's Village, which is his alma mater, which is my also the school that we all belong to, and the school that nurtured us. So as an act of his gratitude to the school, he does that kind of fundraising. And fundraising is his second priority. Number 1 is awareness about Tibet by singing, entertaining people. And that musical activism is something very unique he has been doing. And this is something that I try to do here in India. I travel to school and colleges and civil societies, reading poetry, telling Tibetan refugee stories, and winning people's hearts. So this is something that I share very deeply with my friend and a former classmate, Tenzin Choegyal. And in one of the festivals, he organizes this thing called Festival of Tibet in Brisbane, in a place called Powerhouse. And once what we did together was, I did storytelling on stage, and he organized the music. There were 12 other musicians in the background, and all of them were playing music, and I was enacting and telling story of Tibet. And that won so much of support. It was a sold out show, and I hope someday we could do this partnership once again on stage at some point of time. So this is all that I have to say. I want to thank SFT for doing this, and it's they really captured this so beautifully by taking opportunity and celebrating this small victory. I say small because for Tibetan movement, it's small, but as an award, this is something that we used to hear about, Grammy Award, but it's now coming so near, just next to one of our friends. So I want to thank SFT, and to all the listeners, if you are here, please donate to SFT. SFT is doing wonderful work as a Tibet support group, and They've done some of the most dynamic, attractive, impactful actions. Knowing my friend Tendor and Hadun and Tenzin Choegyal earlier, and Pema Yoko, and now with Doji Seten in the leadership, and SFT has done so much work. Please support, donate, and this money will go directly into the Tibetan freedom movement. So I'll just stop here. Thank you so much, everybody. And Samalia Teshtile to Chanang Shuayin and Tendola to Chana the number to Chana.
Thank you, Tudula. That was really wonderful. Thank you for sharing your thoughts and the stories about Jundu, old time, school time stories. Everything was very meaningful. So I'm sure people appreciated it. Thank you, Tudula. So now I'm going to bring Siriwamula, our very good friend Siriwamula. So Jundu, please have a good evening out there in India. Don't drink and drive. Okay. Yeah, be careful. Put on your mask and be careful. Thank you for joining us, Jundula. And let me go to Siriwamula now. Okay, Siriwamula. Oh, let's see. Okay, now I might need a minute to find Siriwamala here. So please take a bathroom break. Go get yourself a drink. I don't know what you're drinking, eggnog or chang or coffee or whatever your poison is. But I think we have Siriwamala connecting momentarily. He is probably... Hello, Siriwamala.
Hi, Distille.
Pennsylvania, you're a
I'm in Ardmore, Philadelphia ki Takanauris, suburb Nishire.
Los.
Yeah.
Well, very nice to see you, Trinla. Ani, thank you so much for joining us on this reception, wine and cheese reception, to celebrate Choegyal's nomination. And let me give people a small introduction. I think most people are aware who Siriwamala is, but for those who may not be aware, let me just introduce Siriwamala. We are really proud to have Siriwamala join us today. Siriwamala is a close friend of Choegyal's and a very close friend of all of us who are part of this program. So I think of Siriwamala as the poet laureate of the Tibetan exile world. She is the author of multiple books, including a memoir, a very successful and highly accomplished, very moving memoir called A Home in Tibet. It is published by Penguin Random House, India, and several poetry books. Rules of the House, In the Absent Every Day, My Rice Tastes Like the Lake. When I was writing these names down, I didn't have to look anything up. I just wrote them by memory, because I really, because I think we've been following your work for so long, and each time one of your poetry books comes out, it's very easy to remember because you have so many poems, so many stories in them that are just like impossible to forget. So I think the contribution that Siriwamala has made to Tibetan literature and the Tibetan literary world out there is really unsurpassed. So now Siriwamala is a professor at the English department at Villanova University in Pennsylvania. And just one last thing. A Home in Tibet is a truly acclaimed book, And I would encourage people to just, go to Amazon. You just go online and buy the book and read it. There was a pandemic out there. There's nothing else to do. Just read a book, stay home and read that book. Okay, you will thank me afterward for doing this. So, Sirinla, thank you so much for joining us, and please share with us your thoughts, your words on this momentous occasion.
Thank you so much, Dendola, for that very kind introduction, and thank you, SFT, for organizing a way to celebrate Tenzin Choegyal's great, wonderful, I think, accomplishment. And it's wonderful to see all of you, fellow Tibetans and supporters of our movement. Wonderful also to see my friends, now that Tendor has put us in the official category of old people, or I guess the elders. I'm very happy to be part of this generation. So I'm happy to congratulate Tenzin Choegyal for the Grammy nomination for Songs of the Bardo, which is a work in collaboration with Laurie and Jesse Paris Smith. I think it's such a great achievement, and I was sort of thinking back to my days in India growing up and looking forward to sort of Grammy nominations. It always seemed so far away, and it's nice to sort of be able to celebrate and think of a fellow Tibetan having reached this incredible achievement. I think what Choegyal's work does is really speaks to the power of art to translate across mediums. In particular, looking at this album, right, the way that he's taking text to music or narrating text in a different language. So this innovative work is really compelling, and I think so important to us, because on one hand it's telling both a personal loss and as well as sort of a national loss and struggle that all of us, as Tibetans can relate to. So, thank you and congratulations. I was sort of looking through my poems, to see what might link across to Bardo, since, I think loss is central to a lot of our work as Tibetan writers. Also, loss of sort of Bardo is, sort of this transitional place in exile as this transitional space, right? And I was looking for something hopeful, right, that had music and that had song in it. But then, of course, SFT is smart, linking music and bringing poets together, because, of course, poetry has its inspiration from song, right? So I'll read one poem where, it deals with Bardo, sort of talking about my uncle, one of my relatives who was dying 2 years ago. And I, of course, he was in Tibet, and I was looking at him and speaking to him on his deathbed, looking at him on the phone. And so this is sort of about that process, right? Okay. There was a deer in his backyard. Rob covered it with maple leaves, biding his time to think of the next step. What happens afterwards? I told him my aunt was petite, but she'd become so thin the family had to cut up yak meat when she was offered to the sky. He said the coyotes skulked around. They were probably the reason. We didn't talk about death. Funny how poetry works, how the vultures circle over the burial ground, a burial sky, and the living understand someone else is being dead or moving into the Bardo, which is also a metaphor for the statelessness we are born into. My aunt had a perfect Kapala. The medications she had to take all her life did not show there. It is hidden in her husband's room, I hear. My aunt's heart, who knows? This morning, my uncle tried to speak through the oxygen mask, his words humming, translated. How is your health? How are you doing? I do not know how to grieve in my language to say to a loved one who is sure of nothing but death, to say what? This is what exile does. the dying and the ones who cannot return. My mother always said, poor thing, when she spoke of a younger sister. She'd suffered the most of all the siblings, even the ones who spent a decade in camps. I thought my mother was assessing her own life in exile as something more livable. Rob has a bed in his office. It is his meditation chair, or, as he shrugs, it's something that had seemed like a good idea. He thinks he'll get rid of it, but it takes planning to empty one's space. Strange how death is the poem, or maybe it's what I'm translating from the edges of the page. Tenzin Choegyal says it so much better, thank God. I feel like a firecracker that is not the right one for the occasion. My uncle reminds me about life as he lies dying. We wave at each other into the phone. We will never meet. The deer, Rob says, was attacked by a coyote, but not finished up. I feel he's asking a question about something else, another kind of burial that I have never seen, but have interpreted from a distance, reading the black cloud of wings in the air, praying for the long life of those I know, praying the dead will go into their next. My aunt had a lot of antibiotics in her system. We wonder what that means to the environment we live in. Rob thinks the bed is out of place. It's something he has to explain, as though there has to be a story or a reason for things to be there. Thus, thank you so much, and
Thank you, Tenzin.
enjoy.
Thank you. Thank you very much. That was very meaningful. It made me think of I think one line in particular where you mentioned the condition of being trapped in a condition where you can see your family only on a screen, you know. And that's the pandemic condition. Basically, right now, because of the pandemic in 2020, the world knows what that feels like when you cannot say goodbye, when you cannot say hello, when you cannot touch anyone from your family, when you cannot see the people who are close to you, and you're separated by a screen, no matter what, right? And in a way, I think people are, from this experience, I think people get a window into the fact that Tibetans have been living in a pandemic since 1959, because we haven't been able to see our family. We've been separated, and Tibetans only ever get to see their families in Tibet or in exile over a screen. So I think you have captured that in a very powerful way. Thank you very much. So Tingla, thank you so much for sharing your thoughts and your words. I'm now going to bring Dicky. So let me invite Dicky. So Tingla, thank you so much. We hope to have you around and celebrate in person next time. And in the meantime, please, everyone, as I said before, go online and check out A Home in Tibet. Many people are commenting here that this was one of the best books that they have read. So I would highly encourage people to read that. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye, Zen. Okay, now, while I'm inviting Dicky, I would like to encourage people to go to the pinned link and make a donation to Students for a Free Tibet. This is probably the best thing you can do today. Okay, Dicky's here. While her screen is loading, she's probably using a very old phone.
I can only see myself. I don't know.
While her screen is loading, let me.
Tendo, can you hear me? Okay, that is.
Let me remind people. Yeah, please go to the link that is pinned here on the page, and make a kind donation to Students for a Free Tibet. And I'm hearing from the staff that many people have already made donations over the course of the program. Everything is going to be matched. Dotide reminded me that everything that's donated today over this line is going to be matched by a very kind donor for the organization. So if you give X amount, that becomes X squared. So this is a great time to donate. If you ever thought about making a contribution to an organization, to students for Free Tibet. So thank you. And now we have Dicky, and after Dicky we have Sonawambi, and then Choegyal will come back before we come to an end. Okay, so this is turning out into a usual kind of reception length event, so it's perfect. So Dicky, let me give a quick intro. Tenzin Choegyal is a writer, translator, and poet. She was born in India and now based in Boston. She's the editor of the best-selling anthology, Old Demons, New Deities, an anthology of Tibetan short stories. It's a bestseller by Tibetan standards. She's the editor of Tibetan Political Review, one of the editors of the Tibetan Political Review. She is a former editor at Treasury of Lives. And right now she's also the managing editor of a new journal, a very exciting new journal that focuses on Tibetan literature. Keep an eye out for that. And most importantly, she is the editor. She has edited a new anthology that's coming out soon. It's an anthology of Tibetan nonfiction. So a very exciting moment for Dicky. And right now, so Dicky, as an old friend of Choegyal's as well, please take it away to share your words and thoughts, and if you have some poetry that you would like to read, so please go ahead.
Hi, just a little. Okay, I hope I was suddenly randomly having technical problems all of a sudden.
We can hear you fine.
Okay, perfect.
Well, you were hoping for a technical difficulty?
Okay. Hi, I am delighted to be here to celebrate our dear Choegyal's Grammy nomination. I mean, I think we knew it was just a matter of time. His music is exquisite, and Choegyal's always been my very favorite Tibetan musician. Although I tell my brother, who is also a Tibetan musician, that Choegyal is my second favorite Tibetan musician. So anyway, I'm delighted to be here, and of course, also very happy to be taking part in this event for SFT. I've always, in high school and in college, I was part of my local Students for Free Tibet chapter. And SFT has always meant a great deal to me. I mean, we make our own activism karma, right? So I think it's, the work that SFT does is really important. So I'll be reading a poem called Verdict, and it is about dinosaurs. Just to give you a very brief background, even though you don't really need it. But anyway, so there are these like dinosaurs called oviraptors, and I think the world just thought, I mean, oviraptor means egg thief. So, archaeologists looked at the fossil records, and essentially they thought that these oviraptors stole the eggs of these other dinosaurs called Protoceratops. And then of course, there was more archaeology, and we realized that, oh no, the oviraptors were not stealing other dinosaurs' eggs. In fact, what they were doing was just guarding their own eggs. I just think it's, we think we know something, and then we uncover another piece of evidence, and our earlier thinking is overturned. So
it's hugely relevant to this occasion.
Yes, you can tell I chose the right poem to read today. I mean, well, what can I say to make it relevant?
Well, the Tibetan Book of the Dead is kind of a dinosaur, so
no. Okay. Here's one way we can make this relevant. Archaeology is how we uncover the past, and activism is how we uncover the future. Is that relevant?
Perfect.
Anyway,
Now you
I
redeemed
will.
yourself. Please go ahead.
Thank you, Tendorla. Okay, verdict. Ladies and gentlemen, these trace fossils belong to our dearly departed Tyrannosaurus rex. I say this with surety because his footprints lead to his open coffin. These oviraptors, maligned raiders of Protoceratopsian nests, are cleared on both counts of assault, battery, and theft when their legal counsel proves beyond a shadow of a doubt that they were guarding the nests, not raiding them. The legal counsel, in the style of Solomon or Shakyamuni and other wise men, cracks the disputed eggs in court. Outcome, not baby Protoceratops, but baby oviraptors. These pterosaurs are not killing fish, they are cleaning teeth and learning to swim. I hold my judgment pasted along my palate, how my paleontology works for me. If I take these bones home and make them a nice bone bed and water them at regular intervals and take them out in the sun and encourage them, love them perhaps, they will grow flesh and thin skin which will thicken into scales hard enough to leave scale impressions on cliff sides when they squeeze their way through a narrow mountain pass. But who wants dinosaurs in their homes? There are only two ways of looking at the truth. When the truth is buried, taken out and boxed up and buried in rock, and no one attends its burial but says, how sad, and what a world. And the truth is now a fossil of a point of view, but a disreputable fossil, which is to say, a fossil unable to withstand its burial, the cerement slowly wearing out of being, and with it the fossil until it is all gone. Then we must employ the third way of looking at the truth, which is to look at the sediment infill in the rock, which keeps the shape of truth as nicely as a bookmark keeps its place in a book. The dinosaur takes the alternative to extinction. He cuts a deal, keeps his clavicle, forsakes divine right, and agrees to electronic surveillance. The meteorite has a name and a makeshift home, a cradle rounded like the smooth grave inner face of silvered spoons. Perhaps it meant no harm. Perhaps. Tuchenang.
Wow, that was awesome. we got a lot of high five and thumbs ups in the chat box. Thank you, Digla. Now we are getting to our most anticipated part of the program. Very famous comedian and actor known as Sonam Wangdu. So let me invite Sonam Wangdu here. Sorry. Sonam Wangdu, let me get Sonam Wangdu. I think he might have some technical difficulties as well because he's part of the older generation of people, just like us. Oh yeah, it turns out Sonam Wangdu is here. I think we are looking at his headlamp. I think that's a halo around Sonam Wangdu's head, actually. Anyway, while Sonam Wangdu is arranging the camera, let me say thank you to Tenzin Choegyal. If you haven't heard about her book, I would encourage people to check out Old Demons, New Deities. It's a remarkable book of short stories from many of the people that you heard from. Pujung is in there, Zundu is in there, Tsiruamo is in there. And I would, highly encourage checking out that book. So, okay, now we have Sonam Wangdu here with us. We have requested Sonam Wangdu to prepare a nice grill outside in the winter so that Choegyal, we can put Choegyal on a roast.
I have a Choegyal here.
You have Choegyal with you already in New York?
Yes,
really?
And he's gonna play first, then I will talk.
Oh, okay, so Choegyal is going to play first, and then you will do it.
Yep. Everyone ready?
Please. Yes, please take it away. Yeah, go ahead.
Here you go.
Choegyal's damnyen, metal. That's Choegyal's half jacket. That's not Choegyal's hand, because Choegyal's hand has all 5 fingers. Lakpa di tana Choegyal remen diye. Choegyal lakpa la dugunga ya. Wow. Choegyal got a haircut in the pandemic.
Yeah, huh? Go there.
Wow, so now you're getting a lot
I
of
am
high
ready.
fives from people. I think people appreciated you playing the damnyen.
I can play.
Thank you so much, Sonawandula. Hang on a second. Let me just give people a quick intro so that people know who you are. Because last time people saw you in this amazing movie, I think that was like some 20 years ago, and a lot has changed since then. Sonawandula, I think that you were, when people saw you during a hunger strike, you looked very different from the way you look now. So let me remind people that this really is Sonawandi, okay? So Sonawandi is one of Tibet's most beloved comedian, actor, hunger striker, activist, and he's been in a number of different movies. I think he may have a longer filmography than any other Tibetan, actually. We Are No Monks, Anutanu, Dreaming Lhasa, you name it. He is in every single one of these Tibetan films that's come out over the last 20 years, and he's also been part of the Tibetan movement as an activist with Tibetan Youth Congress and as a close friend of SFT. He's a comedian and an artist who's always doing the work to advance the cause as well. So it's highly appreciated by people. He's also on an HBO show, I think, series called The Oldest Boy. He's an award-winning actor. He isn't just a regular, B+ kind of actor. He's an award-winning actor. I think you won an Emmy Award. Sonawandil played in a movie called Sonam's Mother. And that movie is part of a larger series of PSAs produced by the New York City Mayor's Office. And that film, that whole series won an Emmy Award. Okay. So yeah, Sonawandila, we're really happy to have you join us. And we have requested Sonamla to prepare a nice tribute to Choegyal. So please, Sonamla, go ahead and share your kind, humble thoughts about Choegyal.
Hello, Tashle, Samala Tashle. I will say in Tibetan. And Choegyal, and we have a family relation. Reason why is his family is Tibetan, my family is Tibetan, so we have family relation. Teacher. Ani Choegyal Tashle. Ani Thambode Thangma Choegyal Grammy was the nomination level de la ani. Saya true China make a party make a Changa the net Thangma Tone and the Kerala Tashle should be and Choegyal Thangma getting Bishay. Ni Choegyal Yamani. Australia did the ni Koran la Namdan and Levotani Sugurare Ra in the luck. And the Choegyal Gitanist and Union Tangan Stagu and the Choegyal Ninja Tarubuche Shamu Shamu Zore. Then Choegyal Shet and Ola artist Manja Halata Raman Manja is in Kelas de Damure. Then Choegyal Tamtam the Duke Tamure. You should have Choegyal Tamtam. She said, just read not just a mouth. She said, this is Duke in the other chair. And it's suited the Koran, you may have woman. She had a woman. She had Sawatra, she didn't have work from 1 million. The suited young Tata, yes, you each of La Koran is done 20. The chair. 아니 초콜릿 코로나기 시에디 당아 슈슈 라이면 와디 틀리시다 초콜릿이 시에디 또디 가르는 얘기하는 안다 뮤직이 유니버설 라이저와 뮤직이 유니버설 라이디 지당도 라기요네 야보타와 있나 유니버설 라이디 마 시에 상마 소소 컬처 시에와 그것도 미션 배시 당고 말아 소소 컬처 당고 안디 유니버설 한데 차고요나 금제다와나 아니 초콜릿이 시에디나 하고 같은 초콜릿이 시에디다 말랑도 리슈도 제와 예바나네 야 치도 잠블링냠도 아니 진짜 상만냠도 주슈 지제 냠루도니 아니 시에사와 수에와 당 간데네 개와요 맞다 디 정말 초콜릿이 당도 수요 잡고랑 우주 겹체 와 대신에 아니 대신에 초콜릿 아니 지게기 아니 다 과일의 방글라데시나 과일의 거라 파키스탄 아프가니스탄 그다 상황 거라 개사래 담에 되긴 대신에 초콜릿이 시에디 예 만주리 슝기 망시디 예외 강라 아니 치로기 시에 뭐신배기 칼제어 여러 슝시 빈념도 님부톤 도도보레스 대신 초콜릿 얘기 인타본 도제나 시외이 아니 초콜릿 다시래 아니 지나가 쉬면도 당연히 달리기 담력이 느끼시도 있어요. 아니 마음과 아니 저게라 아마치 가셔도노 저게라 아티스트 좀 말해 저게라 액티비스트래 와케시티 말하기 observation 톤 아니 단데르래 가서 소소 넘버 쇼에 제너와 걔랑 내가 가르치고 있는다 암지이나리 개개이나리 사이언티스트나리 가리임바이네 제나미네 아니 걔랑기 프로페셔널기 슬래시 제라 액티비즘들 레이버 딩아 이메 메라이 아마타 뭔가 많아봐도 안디 최근라기 항상기 개인 슈팅스키데 지거래 그랑기 시에기 인디 지고 좀 말해 딩냠도 아랑도 계급기 둠디체 계급기 강해디체 아니 계급기다 컬처 시지서우디 냠도 키도버 디 안데 도 하셰 나 아티스트 나 폴리스 라바창게 라인다 나 doctor이 나 액티비즘 지금 말다 디 뭔가 라차베 제라제 랑세 라차 아주 랑세 라추로 이제 랑세 말아봐도 슬래시 액티비즘 레다 수있네 너스나레 doctor이 디 나도 켈렌지고 디 나도 최근에 장애데 기준 정도 내가 라인에 다 최근에 덴도레 아니 덴춘주레 군자니다 대도록이 매대는 대동이는 것도 있어요. 같은 사람들 건데기 대신에 다른이 저기다 가마 뉴스 심사 소리 안 대신에 상마 투자나 쉬어이 아니 저기다 제하도 당도가 나마요 그래 나 가지 오면 호라강바 티도 와가 배셔야 돼 강바 티도 심어 와 강바 호라했나 안젤라 딩자 비자 안젤라 비샤 투 말라에서 아니 혼디 제가 책당들서 가서지 리시트 데 기마나 오건 차샤스 저게다 뭐 티 쉬니 딱 하더라 여기 야야 그것이 아니 정말 thank you so much 아니 cheers to 저게라 안 다른이 데 가면하게 writer reader 다 정말 아니 그렇다 시대에 라서 안딩아 저게라 그래 가자 어스틴도 thank you
선호들아 야고슈 자리 야고슈 정도 아니 담니데 람가 람마라 치마도
장서 뭐 장면에
야이 Choegyal roast yabushira chungsu. Thank you so much, Sonawandula. And for those people who did not understand what Sonawandi said in Swahili just now, I think you can find some of his stand-up shows in English as well. So if you go on YouTube and type in Sonam Wangdu stand-up comedy show, you can find him there. He has done several very funny stand-up for SFT and in our community. So please go and check him out on YouTube. Sonawandula, thank you so much once again. I'm sure Choegyal appreciated your opening tribute as an opening act. And I think next time Choegyal is here back on Carnegie Hall, I think you should do the opening act for Choegyal.
Oh yeah, sure.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Someone take care.
I'm going to bring, thank you, Sonawandula. I'm going to bring Choegyal back in. Choegyal is going to come back in now. We have lots of people watching and joining us right now. We have 129 people who are here in our wine and cheese reception to celebrate Choegyal. Let me find Choegyal now. Choegyal. Tenzin Choegyal. Okay. We are coming very close to the end of our program. So Choegyal is coming back here with his Choegyal. I hope you enjoyed Sonomandi's performance. That was very nice. I think next year the Grammy might go to him actually. You know.
He was so funny, yeah.
Anyway, so before
I thought he might also bring the breads as well, but he didn't bring the breads.
Yeah, this time just music, no bread.
Yeah.
But yeah, before I give you Choegyal, let me just quickly put a conclusion thought to all the people who have been here with us, watching this program and joining us for the reception. I think Choegyal, one thing that really makes Choegyal such an amazing musician and artist and a human being is his lifelong dedication to the work of advancing Tibetan freedom. And I think he has set a great example for so many people, been such a huge inspiration. And that's the reason why he wanted to turn this into a fundraiser for Students for a Free Tibet. So on behalf of all the staff members at SFT, on behalf of Doja Seden, the director, and the community here, and also on behalf of the artists, including Jesse and Laurie and everyone who have collaborated and worked with Choegyal, I would like to request you to consider making a donation to Students for Free Tibet at this difficult time. The pandemic has ravaged so many lives. It has ravaged a lot of organizations as well. So many important human rights organizations and NGOs that are doing really indispensable work, right? So please do what you can to make a donation, support the work of this important organization at this very critical and difficult time right now. I cannot think of any better use of, making a gift at any other time rather than now. So please, we would appreciate all donations to the organization. You can go to the link that is pinned on this page. You can also go to Students for Free Tibet website and make a donation directly. It's an investment in the future of Tibetan freedom. It's an investment in Tibetan democracy. It's an investment in the Tibetan people's struggle for self-determination and human rights. And especially in this time, because of the pandemic, so many people who are now aware of the difficulties that we are going through, these are the kind of difficulties of separation, of human separation, family separation, right? Friends separation, the social distancing, the kind of struggles that Tibetans have been facing over the last 60 years, right? So I hope you will support this struggle. For the Tibetans who are here, and thank you so much. And now we have Choegyal with us, and Choegyal will sing a couple of songs, hopefully. And as always, we cannot wait to hear Choegyal in his own voice. So please take it away.
Thank you, Tendola, and thank you to SFT for organizing this. It's a very meaningful way of celebrating. And I really want to thank my beautiful, beautiful friend, Jessie Paris-Smith, for opening many windows into the world of music and also many other adventures. And I'm going to sing this song called Chichung. And it's on the wings of the little bird. I want to send prayers to all of you around, and it happens to be. I mean, we do rituals for those who pass away, but then we also celebrate the birds as well. And today happens to be somehow auspiciously happens to be Jesse's half birthday exact, and then our friend Lenny's birthday as well. And in 3 days, time, it's Patti Smith's birthday. So for all those who are having birthdays, this is a little song on the wings of the little bird. Okay.
Awesome.
And
Happy
it might
birthday, Jesse and Patty and
Lenny,
Lenny.
yeah, and everyone else, yeah. And then make sure you don't forget to donate as well. Okay, on the wings of the little bird. Lahala sigala gari diga pari gari danga turi gari laga benzuga tone ga megi ngandure ga yabaga dara duga pujunga de shenjele bayeno Tenzin Choegyal shokze kala ngai me lama tek sumukuru Semki kecha seke suma koro Okay, now I'm gonna let the bird fly away. So fly away now. Fly away, 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 fly away. So fly away now, 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 fly away, fly away. Okay.
Wow. Thank you, Choegyal. That was awesome. I'm looking at the chat. We are almost done. I'm looking at the chat, and some people are requesting for
They're asking me to do a Crane song. I think they should actually go on.
Go online.
Yeah, I'm really happy. It's actually now it's almost 4 in the morning here.
God. Oh yeah, now you might as well wake up and wash your face and But anyway, yeah, we have put you through enough for one night. Thank you so much, Choegyal. That was really incredible.
And I really want to thank, especially all my Tibetan artist friends and the activist friends. I think they initially, when I was starting my music career, a lot of the Tibetan world of music didn't understand my music, and the artist world of the Tibetan community and the activist world, they kind of understood. So thank you very much. And then I really want to thank Doji Teten for organizing this, and he was like, "Oh, let's celebrate it." And then I was like, "Yeah." So it was much better way of actually raising some funds for Tibet is very dear to all of us, and Tibet has been in Bardo for the last 60 years. So I think we all shoulder a little bit of the responsibility. And yeah, so I'm really thankful for everyone, and especially to my collaborator Jesse and Laurie and then all my friends Ruben and Shazad, and also like Kama Punzo, who did the beautiful, amazing artworks for the cover design. The design of the artworks that you see in the album is from Kama Punzo, my dear friend Kama Punzo. And yeah, so I as Puchungla was saying, it's not about victory for artists. It's more about expressing one's feeling and expressing and then telling the story of our elders. And someone said very rightly, if you hold on to your lineage, you will never be lonely. And I think with that, I really want to thank every one of you, and please do donate, okay?
Thank you, Choegyal. That was really incredible. And thank you once again for very generously offering to do this for SFT, and always being a stalwart supporter in the frontiers of the Tibet movement, whether it's in Australia, in New York, India, wherever you travel. And all the people who have been watching and enjoying the music and following the conversation here, I would like to thank all of you for being here with us. It's really important. I think this participation in the movement is incredibly important. And without participation, there's no music, there's no art, there's no culture, right? Like Choegyal said, I think sometimes for the mainstream in a culture, it may be difficult to catch on to a particular new kind of creation, a new innovation. But the artists are always there participating in the new creation. And when you have new art, then 10 years later, the new art becomes culture, right? So art is always ahead of the mainstream culture, and that's the job of the artist. That's what you do. And likewise, I think in the Tibet movement, when people like yourselves, all of you who are here in the chat, in the reception here in Instagram, participating in this, I think your participation makes the Tibet movement possible. Your participation makes the Tibetan cause advance. And I know that 60 years or 70 years is a really long time to be separated from one's own country. It's a long time to be occupied to live under foreign occupation. It's a long time to be in exile. But we can feel and we can see and observe that things are beginning to change. There are some tectonic political changes, shakeups that are happening right now. And all of this is going to create new opportunities for the Tibetan movement. So we can already see major new achievements, new changes unfolding in Washington, D.C., whether it's the new bill that just passed Congress, the Tibetan Support Act, right? So we hope and we believe that better days are ahead, and we hope you will be with us for the ride, for the journey toward a free, independent, and democratic Tibet, where Choegyal can play his music on the grasslands, in the Nangma bars in Lhasa, in the grasslands of Lithang, without fear of being persecuted, without fear of being arrested. Because right now, Tibetan musicians in Tibet, every single thing that they sing, every single thing that they write, everything that comes out of their mouth, they are afraid that somebody might arrest them, right? Tibetan musicians like Tashi Tundub and others have spent many years in prison just for singing songs, just for composing music. So we really look forward to that day in the future when we can do all of that without fear in a free and independent Tibet. So thank you so much. Thank you, Choegyal, for staying so long with us. We are clocking in at 3 hours now. That's a record on Instagram. But 3 hours is just about the time that the SFT reception with wine and cheese usually lasts in the SFT office, So it's kind of perfect. Thank you to all the staff, Dosede, Jacob and Dechen, Tensonam and Pema, and everyone who have been helping us put through this event together. So thank you to all the people who have made donations so far as well. Your generosity basically fuels the work of SFT and the Tibet movement. So thank you to anyone else out there who will be making new donations in the coming hours today. So have a happy new year. Have a happy Tibetan Losar ahead of you. And we hope 2021 will be an amazing, positive year of freedom, a year of human rights, a year of liberation for everyone who is in this world. Thank you.
And thank you, Tendor, for hosting it. You did a perfect, beautiful job. So thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. I was very nervous being on Instagram. Like I've never done a story on Instagram, so it took me a while to learn some of the little tricks here and there. But thanks to Jacob for training me on this, giving me all this training yesterday. But Choegyal, you were a pro. You and Jesse, you guys were pros on
Thank you.
Okay, now I'm going to end this live video. Thank you very much. Have a good night, Choegyal. Thank you, Jesse. Thank you, Laurie, and everyone out there. Dechan Lab, thank you so much.